Would, would,
Yeah,
would, would.
let's get this going.
Yep. Push the button.
Cool. Well, this is the 365 Message Center. We're talking compliance manager. We're talking new supervision capabilities for compliance managers themselves. There's an office.com default page start thing. Changes to Outlook Mobile. Let's roll the film. Good morning, good now, good evening, good right now to you. This is Darrell as a service, and
Hello.
joined by
I'm I'm Daniel.
Daniel.
Hi,
Daniel.
Daniel.
Daniel, tell me the home of.
The home of the sore foot. That's right. I live in Nashville. No. I hurt my foot yesterday, and so I'm a little gimpy today. That's it.
Yeah, if I can say, and oh, actually, heck, I won't ask your permission. Poor guy needed to get a glass of water before starting the show, and it just sounded painful every step. I'm sorry to
Oh,
hear that. So don't go standing at your desk for too long today. Yeah.
I no, I won't. I raised it up and stood up for you and for all of our, thousands of adoring fans.
You stood up for us. That's really nice.
Hmm. That's right.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We're doing something a little bit different. I'm playing around with a second camera today. So if you've noticed that there's something at the bottom right hand corner that says there's another view, I'm using a new GoPro that's live streaming an angle of what's going on in the studio over here. So if you're interested in that and you switch over to it, cool. And just remember when you change back, you might have to hit the button that brings you back up to the live feed. It will go back to where you left off last
So
time. So
many instructions.
I
Gosh.
know. Yeah, should I have that up on a slide? I'm sorry. Anyway, we should get on with it. We should get on with it. There we go. We have a few messages. Now remember, this is still this preview of the new message center. I should actually share this with Daniel so he can see what's going on as well. Because we do. Oh, we disappeared. There he is. He's back.
Oh, oh,
So
oh,
that's
it
just
doesn't.
a little insight into how we're doing this with Teams. I'm sharing the screen with him on a full monitor. Full screen there. Yes, we have. Yeah, we've got a few going on there, so we will start at the. Look, there's even one that's come through this morning, so we'll have to
Hmm.
have a look at that.
We could
Message
talk to it.
center. Yeah, we will.
Yep.
Those are those new cards. And we go into something that still looks like the current message center. If you're not on preview, come on, load. You know you
Or
want
or like
to.
me, who doesn't want that new stuff, that newfangled
Yeah.
malarkey.
Well, we've got three major updates, and so we'll call them out as we go through them. Sometimes they're major, sometimes they're not so much, but we'll
Yeah.
we'll get into
And
that.
one of them we've talked about a lot. So I say a lot, several times. So but yeah.
What? Actually, this new update is not really a new update. It's something that's kind of been dropped back into the feed from the 28th of November. Remember that happened one time
Uh,
before?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
This one, did we not talk about this last week? Let me see if I
No,
don't
well,
even
it can't
think.
have been last week. It was 28th of November, but let's just open it up anyway.
Oh, of
Given that
November.
it's at the bottom of
Right.
the list, so I just thought we'd have a quick look at it anyway, because maybe they've reseeded it because there's something that's changed. We're releasing multiple updates to SharePoint News. No, no. Does anyone in our chat sort of kind of agree that this is old
Maybe it's
news?
just a
Sandy,
fluke
Suzanne,
because it didn't
Phil,
show. I mean,
John.
now I don't dismiss my messages, right? And you do. You dismiss
Oh, I
your
do.
messages.
I do.
I do not. So it didn't pop up for me at all.
You're going to say this is the reason why, Daryl, because then you don't have things
Correct.
popping. Yeah, okay.
That's right.
All right. Well, we've seen this, but things are still adding and arriving for news as well. So enjoy.
Yep.
And just as a last comment to try and make sure that everyone gets to have a go at creating news, because I think that's really the strategy around the news capabilities.
Yep.
You can create it on your team site. You can then sort of channel it through a hub that bubbles that all up for everyone.
And look, Suzanne says you're not crazy. I'm not sure if she is right or not, but apparently she saw it this morning as
She's
well.
just saying that because she's a Kiwi too, so she understands. She understands Kiwi craziness.
All right,
Um,
let's go to the next real one.
Compliance manager's new experience.
Yep.
Are you a compliance manager? Do you have to keep across some of the things that happen in your organization to make sure you are still compliant? We have a compliance center in Microsoft 365, and what they're rolling together now is together with Sakura Score. This is allowing you to have that score, and that's also going to reflect how compliant you are, not just how secure you are. Aside from that, it's also that it's all together in one place in the center itself. So it should be easier for compliance managers to go glance through, quickly see how things are going. The secure score is a good thing. I mean, have you had much experience with that, Dan? Have you run it in your own orgs or tenants?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think the biggest takeaway that I got from this was Microsoft is not just supplying information; they're actually trying to help those that are using the information use it better. Because it seemed like to me initially it was, here's this score, and you could go look at it, and we're bringing this functionality to you, and it was like, okay, but what do I do with this? And especially, what do I do with it when the number is so terrible? Because if you remember, when you first went and looked at your score, all of them were terrible. Like they were, and so it was like, well, what in the world am I supposed to even do with this? And I think we've gone from, here's a functionality you might want to use or maybe not, to let's help you, those of you that are in that manager role. So I'm liking that. I'm liking seeing progress here to help organizations work through that.
The next message is on a similar vein, really. It is about, in this one, supervisory solution for monitoring teams. So it's about compliance still, but that you've got new capabilities to monitor the compliance across teams conversations. So if you jump into the detail with that, whoopsie daisy, now we're showing the right thing on screen. Yeah, monitoring a team's chat and channels, sensitive information types. Like, when you get that kind of information within an email, and it checks, oh, you're mentioning credit cards, you're mentioning something that shouldn't be shared. But that sort of stuff's now available looking across Teams conversations.
Which is, we started asking these kind of questions of, is this going to bring in everything? And with Teams being that new central place for the collaboration of everything, how is this going to integrate with it? And how are we going to, watch chats and watch private chats, and, all that kind of stuff. And so bringing it in, I think, is a wanted move, and one that we've been expecting and hoping for. So, yeah.
Yep. So you may, as a compliance manager, have been having to glance through or have some kind of reporting process that filled that gap in the meantime. Again, it's about bringing that all together in one place so you can keep your organization compliant. And, with the information being presented to you, these new advanced filters help you to jump to see certain things that you're looking for, cases that you're looking for. And I've just, we have begun to start adding a adoption note or adoption comment to the messages that we talk about in here, because it will affect users, some of these messages. This one, I thought, well, not so much direct impact in that it's compliance managers that get to have a little more power.
But maybe
the follow on, you may get a knock on the door or a knock on the desk to say, look, I've come across something here, and it's time to brush up on your etiquette there or whatever.
Yep.
Moving right along, we have this is something that it's I don't know whether it's repeated here because we need to know about it. It's considered a major update. It came through also as all major updates do, as an email partway through the week. A reminder to say that your Office.com start page is going to be changed back to the default. How do you feel about the start page, Daniel? It's come a long way, hasn't it?
It has, and I think from the first experiences, and this is one of those cases where, a lot of people have this mentality of, I'm going to try it. Oh, I don't like it. I'm going to move on. And we're in a model where things keep changing, and you need to kind of switch your mentality of, you didn't like it before. Okay, fine, but make sure you keep checking. And I think it's gotten better. The biggest hurdle that I see, not hurdle at all, but ask that I see from organizations and from those that are managing it is they want to be able to customize it a little bit more for their people. Customize the applications, they want to customize it a little bit more for who their audience is. I don't know that I am a big supporter of that. I'm not sure. I'm kind of on the fence. I kind of like the idea of people of administrators being able to push applications, for instance, and be able to organize that for the users. But then also, I want users to I want them to discover, other tools, and I want them to not be, kind of shoehorned into where they can't discover other things that are available to them. So, but I think it definitely has improved. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, and I'll repeat a question here. And Sandy Usia said, do many people start on the start page? I always start with my shortcut directly to SharePoint or Planner or whatnot. And that, I'll go back to your point that, the start page was pretty bland earlier. It was a bunch of tiles, and then it was tiles plus something else. But some of us, maybe we start our day in our open conversation tool Yammer, and we want to sort of read up and see what everyone's talking about. Some of us got into checking Delve daily. Yeah, I mean, I remember Satya saying, he started his day in Delve when I guess they were trying to help promote it, but I never really found it that super useful if I was going to start my day. What's everyone been writing in their documents about? But to that point, some of us have changed what our start page looks like, and we may prefer to change it back for that reason. I think the start page is becoming richer, but I think there's one more motivation behind starting you on that start page with your apps, with your recent documents, and to an extent some of the Delve content there too.
Yeah.
What has everyone else been doing? The promotion of Microsoft Search as a start page. That box is there, and your capability to search across your whole org is being built up even more, and that's where you can do it.
I've had a client recently. That's how they rolled out Office 365 to their users. Is they made Office.com the home instead of their intranet, which was interesting because they're an intranet client, meaning that's my work with them was to create an intranet for them. And everything went fine. It was just that they felt like they wanted to do more of not just being in the intranet, but also in the other tools. And so that was and it was also a way to make sure they weren't doing full integration. So it was a way to have people go ahead and sign in and get authenticated to all the tools, right?
Yeah.
So you force them to Office.com, they log in, and now when they go to SharePoint, they're authenticated when they go to Power BI, et cetera, et cetera. So, but anyway, so there's people doing it. It's not a thing that, is imaginary. So
yeah. Around, of course, the thought around adoption here, if you do have people that are using a different start page, then, of course, their experience is going to change. The note here says that it is going to start happening, rolling out in March, but there's no specific date range that's given, like in some of the other, where it says it's going to begin in March and finish by the end of April. It's just going to start happening. But we do see that there will be more information given when we get closer to the time. But it would pay to start telling your people that, if you've got a start page that you start in SharePoint or Yammer or wherever, then it's going to change back to Outlook.com. Yeah.
Office.com.
Yes. Office.com. Well, actually, that's another point, isn't it? Some people start in Outlook.com. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, a couple of good comments there again too. Like, Joanne was saying, Dean, questions about UI seems a bit odd to maybe preview a few. We always have browser pointing at the internet homepage. Yeah, so that's often a customary thing. Oh yeah, hey, are you using the Outlook mobile app, the new one?
I am.
That went GA, right? So that's not in the message center, but it's now generally available. Are you using it?
I am.
Yep. Pretty crisp and clean. I quite like it.
Yep.
But
I do like it as well.
Something appeared partway through last week, which I saw, of course, the conversation on Twitter and social media was, what are these new mail tips? These yellow bands along the top of when we're crafting emails. Yep. You seen them a few times?
I have. And, being able to, what this message is about, alerting that you're sending an email to an external user, I think it's something that people deal with and have been putting rules around their email for a long time, right? You have a lot of organizations, when they receive mail from the outside, they'll inject in the email saying, be careful, this is from the external. Right?
Yeah.
And so when you're reading all your email, that's what you see rather than just the message. So it is important for people to make sure, for a lot of organizations, to make sure that their users know when email is being exchanged externally versus just internally, especially for regulated organizations and verticals where, you saying something and including someone external could have financial and legal obligations, right? I'm thinking about, publicly traded companies. If somehow an external person got added to an email where you said something about, hey, we had some bad results from our latest drug test or something, drug trial, that would be very bad, right? Because that person's going to go short your stock or whatever. So anyway, I think it's good. I like the mail tips. I like a little bit more, helping me along. Right? While I'm doing email. It's
not an intrusive cue. It's there. It's clear. I think it's really helpful because Outlook, desktop and mobile app and wherever, if you've got a long list of people, it tends to concatenate the display of it. So it says, and 53 other recipients. You're not going to click that button to expand that list of participants and quickly scan through every time and see. Even less so on your mobile because... But
to realize that you're replying all to a message that was sent to the whole company, and maybe you should have hit reply, but you hit reply all. And now you're about to email the whole company with a, hey, good job, let's get drinks, which is not very, that's fine, but it could be something that's way not business-like, right? Maybe it's a buddy that you have a very personal relationship with, joking around or whatever. You want to know that information.
Yeah, well, this is the first mail tip that's targeted at external recipients. Right. But I expect that because the capability is there now, there'll be that one. Hey, do you realize that you're emailing the whole company? Hey, do you realize that you've put your credit card number in there? That sort of stuff. Hey, check out this message though. Like in the message center, this is one of the very few I've seen where there's a screenshot.
Now, I wanted to mention
actual
this.
Message.
Yes, I love it. Yes. I love. When I saw this, I was like, "Wait, what? Is that a picture? Oh my goodness!" Yes, you should like it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yes, I'll like it too. Yeah. I think why do I need to click on a link to say additional information when you could just put that screenshot right there for me? I love it. This is the first time I think there might have been one, but it's been a really long time. I love it.
Yeah.
Someone
It
Everybody go
actually,
to your message center and click like and put in
yeah,
there, this is great. We expect more of this.
I think yeah, yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It actually makes me want to click through and read some of the additional information as well, if I wanted to find out more. Yeah, it's there we go. So it's well, I mean it's here. That's the other thing. It's a bit weird though. I mean the date says that it's interesting way of rolling it out. They're going to roll out the
Yeah.
setting, as they say. It's
Hmm.
going to be turned off, and then on March the 4th they turn it on, so it's available for everyone. But I don't know how that actually played out because we certainly saw it last week, and I'm seeing it now.
Yeah.
At any rate, it hasn't shocked me, but
Oh.
it's good to know that we've got some explanation around that.
Well, and it's more and more organizations are relying on mobile for their employees to be working
Yeah.
with an organization. So this is another one. We've been talking about change management a long time, but it's been revolving mostly around the desktop experience. We need to mobile has to be included on almost every conversation I have with
Yeah.
new clients. Mobile comes up. What is
Yeah.
the mobile experience with what we're doing? So
The adoption that I've dropped in here, explain what this thing is. All right, that's probably the best thing you can do. Let people
mhm.
know that this is a tool. That don't filter it out in your own mind as you glance over it. Go, oh yeah, pretty yellow color. If you
Mhm.
see it, then note it. And so if you explain this purpose in your comms internally and across your org, then it's more likely to help people understand what it's governing and trying to help you with good behavior.
Yep.
Yeah. Uh, this one, it's really, we've seen this quite a bit coming and leading up to it, but it's much closer to the time now. Retiring of triple DS.
Yep.
And make sure that your TLS is the next level up too. Now this is really more about the retirement of triple Ds. If you're using any services that are leaning on this for encryption, you really should have a plan well underway to have some of the stuff replaced because
Yes,
it
you
won't be
should.
supported in 365. The new version of TLS is also something they're moving to. However, they're not turning off the old version of TLS at this stage. It's just triple DS, so
Mm-mm.
don't freak out.
That's right.
But you should have a plan underway for both, and certainly for triple DS.
That's right.
Um, and
Yeah.
security. So site activity web part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
What?
this is well, coming from the internet and SharePoint experience, having a lot of experience with in that realm, we use this activity to highlight what's going on with the site,
Hmm.
and it's all about news. It's about documents. It's about it's about what's going on in the site.
Hmm.
And this announcement talking about bringing group inbox activity into the site activity web part in SharePoint. Um, Obviously, this is focused on those group connected sites
Mm-hmm.
and bringing in all of the communication, although we'll put a major asterisk there, bringing in the communication along with your documents and such. I put a huge asterisk because there's a major player here where we have communications and along in the group space, and that's not included. And it's called Teams. But bringing that functionality in, I don't necessarily like it in it, and I haven't seen it obviously, and they're not even telling us, how that's going to show because it's
Mm. This that link
not
is just
part of
through to
it.
what the activity web
Exactly.
part currently looks like.
Yeah. But
Cards.
what I'm afraid of is that content just starts showing up. Not afraid of it. It's one of those we expect if you frame it around, here's the site activity, and it's really
Mm.
site activity. It's not group activity, it's site activity. And then
Yeah.
emails start showing up like what that's not what is expected. So anyway, I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know how we're going to add
the
that to it.
semantic or purpose of it is a bit different. I mean,
Mhm.
I get that it's actually quite a useful tool at a
Mhm.
glance. It's been a little while since I visited the site. What's changed? I can
Yep.
see it. If that's drowned out by 3 or 4 different important emails that have been sent over that period of time and you're missing what activity has changed on the site, then that can be something of an issue. Just as we're talking about this too, I'm thinking, well, didn't we have something called Site Mailbox that used to actually show and display everything in the shared mailbox for the group? And that
That's right.
left. Kind of, is this, trying to hold the remnants of that and saying, well, maybe some of it would be useful.
Yeah, I think it is, and it's one of those features that we, I think, filling the gap. It's the we had this feature, and now this is kind of filling that gap. And again, if you're doing a lot of group conversations, right, then this is great. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just I think it's a little bit bigger of a change than just something new is going to show up there, and okay. I think it's just a little bit bigger change than that.
I wish I'd figured out how to do polls in live video for YouTube live events, because Joanne said, look, I've never once used the site activity web part. One of the things that I think it was in the template, and she, you
it
remove
was.
it.
That's right.
So the poll I'd put out there is who actually uses it. There is, in other places you can see that site activity if you turn on your information panel.
I think Microsoft really wants you using the site activity, is what
Sounds
I think.
like it. Does it have a few other views though? Because those cards, they're cards. How many cards do you want to display? And
well, if you're not used to the cards and don't like them, then you're going to hate SharePoint Modern, because everything's a card. But let me see. I want to see. Anyway, I'm going to take a look at it, but I think get used to cards.
Yeah, that's true. It'd be interesting if there is some other variation on that. I know. I'm going to rush through this next one because there is one other thing that I just wanted to mention that was quite cool too, that I picked up on. But this last message around changes to the speed at which PowerPoint and Word documents open up. So if you are go ahead, go on, but keep it brief.
No, it really should read changes to PowerPoint and Word to open older versions of files faster is what it should say. Because what this really is doing is, instead of, if you're opening a file from OneDrive, it's, instead of going and opening it from OneDrive, it's going to open it from your local copy. And then it's going to try to do the updates in the background of, okay, is there a newer copy? Then I'm going to grab it. And so you're going to have this update bar that says, hey, new version. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I really don't like it. If I'm online, I want it to grab the latest version. I don't want it to grab the one from cache. I get why they're doing this. They want to speed it up. I get it. I just don't like it.
Well, the perception that it's been sped up is my reflection on this.
Right.
First of all, if you are synchronizing a library or your OneDrive folders, and you've brought down that local copy, of course it's going to go and grab that local copy, and it's in sync. If you can see that, green tick and whatever, it's not synchronizing there. That behavior is not changing. It is more the content you haven't synced that we sort of don't appreciate this, but in the background there's that Office Document Center that does keep a cache. I was reminded of again, it's actually up to 14 days. So if you've accessed a document there 13 days ago, it's got an older copy. And this announcement says, Word and PowerPoint will use that copy first, open up, and then you'll see the status bar that says, I'm grabbing you the freshest stuff. So the perception that you're picking up from where you left off faster, but you still can't, you've still got to wait until you see that freshest content come through. Yeah. Still, it's it's good, but you still have to train yourself to pause. Check. Yeah, my adoption note therefore was really just, you're going to have to remember to check the status bar. Do pause quickly, briefly, until you can see it's got the latest content. And as a support note, then IT pros and people on the support desk, just remember to if there are some weird version conflicts and stuff that go on here, to troubleshoot it from the document cache, which is
which
down near the
most people
notifications.
don't understand, right?
No,
And
yeah.
And if anyone, 2 years ago or so, you talked about the Office Center and that document cache, they probably strangle you because there was some major
Mm.
issues with syncing, and you get all these alerts, and it didn't sync right. What do you want to do now? I want to
Conflicts.
strangle you. I want to strangle you. That's what I want to do right now because I just opened the file and I just tried to save it, and now there's a conflict. Why is there? Anyway.
And you're
Um,
like, hell yeah, there's a conflict. This is like
there's a
conflict.
conflict,
This
all
is
right. This
conflict
is supposed to be
resolution. I'm going to resolve it already.
so anyway,
Yeah. Hey, to finish off, do you listen to the Intrazone podcast?
hmm?
Mark Cashman, Chris McNulty, among friends, and we've
All
had
right.
some friends also that have been interviewed on that and had some good stories being told. It's been pretty awesome. Mark, well, at least I think it's that recent, started a new quick, he calls it the pit stop. So it is still the Intrazone show, but he's doing a quick roundup of all the SharePoint news and announcements across the month, whereas the Intrazone podcast can go for like an hour and a half or whatever as they really dive down deep. I quite enjoy it, but I loved how Mark was taking that metaphor quite far. What he'll do, he'll go through and just quickly touch on some of the announcements and things, but he calls the topic or the product group or the feature a sponsor. And it took me a little while to get this because I'm like, hang on, who's sponsoring this podcast? What do you mean the sponsor? But go with me on this metaphor. What do you see when a driver gets out of a car? Well, look at their cars. What's it covered
Yeah.
in?
Covered in sponsors. Their
Yeah,
uniform is covered in sponsors.
yeah, that's
Yep.
it. So that's his metaphor. He's like, the
Hmm.
topic today, the sponsor today is, and here's what we're talking about in this roundup, and then he zooms in through that, and he's got cool little noises and makes a bit of sound effects himself. It's quite a cool little way to
Yes.
catch up. But I encourage you guys to subscribe to that because it's interesting, and keep an eye out for that monthly new pit stop. That will keep you up to date with what's happening in SharePoint and
Yep.
associated linked services.
Right.
Did you see anything interesting this week gone by?
Well, the first release tenants, the targeted release tenants, we a bunch of us got the new SharePoint mega menu, the footer that
Mm.
we've talked about, and that started rolling out. And we warned you. Please go back if you don't remember us warning you. One of the things that we warned you about is you're going to get a footer whether you want it or not,
Mm.
unless you do something about it. And guess what? We all got footers. And the footer is, it's pretty interesting. It says
Yeah.
powered by SharePoint communication sites. Click here to create your own. Um,
Ah.
uh,
Can that be
so,
changed?
so you can go in, and when you go in to change the look, you can, add a logo to be on
Yeah.
the footer. You can edit the navigational links that are
Yeah.
there, but don't get crazy excited that you're going to make this footer be some beautiful creation, make it whatever you want. It's not that.
Can you
Um,
remove the link that says click here to create your own? Oh dear. So if you're an
well,
org that
no, 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 no,
hasn't.
no. You can if you turn the footer off.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if
you
you
click
want
the
it
little button.
on,
Yeah.
you better have the governance in place and the settings so that you don't get a bunch of communication sites saying, "Oh,
So,
this looks
but
pretty."
yes. Remember, we talked about this previously.
Yeah.
You need to manage this. You're going to get it whether you want it or not. Now, of course, this is target release, so all of you that are not in, you still have time to manage this. Go back and watch the show, and we talked about that. But it is something you need to be paying attention to. You're getting a footer whether you
Mm.
want it or not,
Yeah.
unless you do something about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Look, that's about it. Thank you everyone for tuning in. A couple of minutes over. Quick roll call there as we scroll up. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Thanks, Joanne and Dean and Suzanne and Phil and Christine and everyone else. Oh, Daniel's in there too. What? Hang on.
What?
You're in there too. Thanks for joining in. And I should try and expose that chat on the screen occasionally too when I've got that organised. I don't know if you enjoyed the second camera view. That is there. And once the show's all wound up, it's going to appear as a second video. So if you're interested to see what I do in the studio trying to manage all this stuff, then feel free to check that out. Let's our people today. This was Darrell and Daniel tonight. No, 365 Message Centre. See you next week. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.